I recently had to pull out of a TV show because my teeth fell out.
David's team.
What was the TV show?
Sunday brunch.
And why had your teeth fallen out?
Because I bit on a Kit Kat chunky.
Yeah.
OK. I may need you to take...
I'll take the reins.
Lead counsel on this.
OK, so, Bob, for many years, a Kit Kat chunky was my favourite chocolate because of the lack of suction. Now, you bite into a curly whirly, you ain't never getting those teeth back, right?
But when you say the lack of suction, what in God's name do you mean?
What I'm saying here, if you bite into a curly whirly, it engulfs your tooth and it ain't letting go.
Yes, but it's not suction, is it?
It is suction because it creates a vacuum of ooze.
I am on Munya's side about the word suction in this instance.
Thank you. Oh, on his side?
Yeah, he's Munya, you're Rob, remember?
Why are you on his side?
Because it is a sort of suction. It sticks, and as it pulls, it creates a vacuum of ooze.
That's it.
Right. So what happened? What befell your teeth?
I keep my Kit Kat chunkies in the fridge, so it was very hard. So it's like biting into a rock, and I lost...
But not the freezer, though. Just the fridge.
It's... Do you know what? It's a fridge drawer.
Oh, one of those drawers that are refrigerated.
Yeah.
Oh, they're very fancy.
Oh, what a purchase, yes.
What's the context under which you're eating this? Is it relaxed?
I wasn't thinking about anything in particular. Maybe the band ELO.
Which period of ELO's career would you have been dwelling on?
The early period before they met in Birmingham.
Before they met?
Yes, yeah, before
so
they met.
weren't even a band?
No. What are you going to do with your life? I don't know, maybe make stock cubes. Maybe we should start a band.
But you said you were on Sunday brunch, or did I imagine that?
No, I had to cancel my...
Oh, you cancelled Sunday brunch?
I lost everyone.
What?
What? You bit into it with abandon.
Yeah.
And you lost, what, 4 top teeth?
9.
9?
Yes! All along the top. You take one bite from
One
this...
bite.
And that's it. 9 teeth are toast.
No.
Yes.
No. It can't
I
be.
believe it.
It can't be. The girth of the Kit Kat chunky is not 9 teeth.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have put it better. It's only going to take 4, 5 maximum.
If it was 3 teeth, would you believe it? In which case...
Too late to change your mind, Bob.
Yes, I would.
You believe it was 3?
Yes.
You want to think around that,
Why?
because it might help you to decide whether it's true or false.
No.
David. The mind games.
OK, David, it's time to decide, truth or lie.
What do you think?
OK, I did think it was a truth, just because of everything that's happened.
Yeah,
but now I think the amount of teeth...
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Imagine it's a lie.
Yeah.
I don't want to bring you down to my hell. But why would he go for 9? Wouldn't he go for a more believable number if he was making it up?
That's true. He would have gone for 2.
So why would he say 9 unless it's true? Yeah.
I can see through Bob, and I know this is a lie. It's up to you, but I'm telling the truth. It's a lie, David.
It's true.
Do you think it's true?
Yeah, but it doesn't say 9
You think
teeth
it's
on
lie?
the card, though. It just says teeth. It just says teeth. He could be trying to be like...
David,
scare
it's
off.
just a game.
It's true.
I think it's true.
No, David.
No, I don't. I think it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie.
You think it's a lie?
We're going
It's a lie.
I don't know what I think.
All right,
but I'm saying it's a lie.
Bob, they think it's a lie. Was it a lie, or were you telling the truth?
I was telling the truth.
Yes, it's true. Now, Bob did have to pull out a Sunday brunch when his teeth fell out, and we've got a picture. Take a look at this.
At school, I was given the nickname The Charmer because I was the only one who could console the school snake whenever it got agitated.
David and T.
So, what type of snake was the school snake?
It was. Do you know what? I genuinely can't remember what type of snake it was. It was. I could describe it.
Go on.
Go on.
Legless. It was. Yes, it was. It was about so big.
What was it called?
It was called. I think it was called Sammy.
You remember its name but not its species?
Well, I'm like that with women. Grass snake rings a bell, I think.
Why did your school go for a snake as opposed to like a mouse or some such?
Oh, it had a mouse as well, but it was in there with the snake.
What was in the tank other than the snake?
It was open plan. There was an area in the corner where he used to sleep. We used to call it the bedding area.
What was there?
What was there?
What was there? Never mind what he used to do.
It's like an ordinary bed, but it's just a lot longer. A lot longer and a lot thinner. Very long and thin. Extremely hard to tuck in at night. They're all there.
Very long.
By the time you'd done one side and gone round the other side, this side had come up again. You'd be there forever. It was
very
awful.
long, thin.
Very long, thin
mattress.
bed. Very long, thin mattress.
This wasn't one of those snakes that likes to sleep curled up.
No.
It likes to stretch out.
All right out like that.
Why did a snake need charming? Was it a particularly aggressive snake or...?
It used to do this little thing where it used to raise its head up and sort of shake its head like that, left to right. Like that.
Yeah.
And I said to the teacher, what's that? What's he doing that for?
Oh, so you were taught in the same room as the snake?
Well, no, we went to different lessons, but in one of the classrooms...
This was during snake studies?
Well, that's what the PE teacher called it. So I said, as well as the other kids, we were saying, what does it do that for? And the teacher said, that is a sign that the snake is getting agitated. And I said, I bet I can stop that. And I lifted off the thing, and I just went like that, and I stroked the back of its head as a joke, and it stopped.
So you can't demonstrate it on a snake?
No, I can't.
But Matt is there. I mean, what if Matt were to be a little agitated? I wonder if employing the same methods you could calm Matt?
Well,
Matt, could you be a little agitated?
If you could be a snake, now, if you could sort of put your head down here, yeah, put your head further down. Put your head here, because the head starts off down, right? Now, get into character.
At a certain angle, this looks really dodgy.
Looks like I'm just about to go bowling. So you're looking down, right, and you're the snake. Now, suddenly, you're a snake, you're agitated. Oh, my God! That's an agitated snake. Yeah. You're all worried, aren't you? Don't worry, I'll sort this out. Now, I'm going to use my hand, because in proportion to the head, that's a finger. Yeah? Then I stroke the back of the head like this. And watch him. Watch the snake calm.
Oh, nice.
Go down.
So what do you think, then, David?
Lee claims that his teacher called him the Charmer.
Yeah.
And that's the nickname that stayed with him. I'd have got murdered at my school if my teacher would have said, you're the Charmer. That's it.
There's so much of that I've got a problem with. That thing,
I think
there was a grass snake.
It's not my nickname.
Time for a decision right now.
I think we think it's a lie.
You think it's a lie?
Lie.
Lee, the snake charmer, were you telling the truth
Mel's
or were
not
you
sure
telling
now.
a lie?
Well, actually, it was a lie.
Yes, it was a lie. Lee wasn't nicknamed the charmer at school because he was the only one who could calm the school snake.
Thanks. As an adult, I once accidentally took part in an under-12s swimming gala.
David's team.
What happened? How did you end up in the swimming gala?
Well, I went swimming.
Right. What are the public swimming baths on a normal day?
It was a council-run swimming baths, actually. And I went in, and the pool was empty. But what I did notice was that there were people watching, you know, from the gallery at the top, but no one in the pool.
Right.
So I got in the pool. Do you want to know more?
At the moment, you're just alone in a swimming pool being watched.
And then a gun went off. Like a swimming gala gun. So the gun went off.
Yeah.
And then just at that minute, a group of under 12s jumped in, and I was in the middle of a race.
Hang on, though, hang on. When you arrived in the pool area, right?
Yeah.
You noticed the pool is empty.
Yeah.
You noticed the gallery of spectators.
Gallery of spectators.
Well,
yeah.
you didn't notice these lurking 12-year-olds.
They weren't there. When
They
I got
weren't there.
in.
Do they normally fire the gun before anyone has entered the room or come near the pool?
Well, they must have been there, but I was distracted by the people in the gallery.
So you put a foot in the water, a gun goes off, some 12-year-olds jump in.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Then we'll swim.
You continued with your swim.
I'd paid my money.
And were the kids good swimmers? Were they overtaking you?
Well, when I reached, did a lap and reached the end, someone said that I had come third.
So what happened then, Lucy? Did you get a medal? I mean, how did it all resolve itself?
I think I could have pushed for a medal. But I didn't. Basically, I got out and I was annoyed. I was embarrassed.
So what do you think, Anton? What do you think?
I think it could be a lie. In actual fact, I think it is a lie.
What about you, Desiree?
I mean, I feel very deeply in my bones that it's a lie.
To be honest, I was feeling more credulous. It can be disorientating walking out from the changing rooms into a swimming pool.
It can be disorientating walking out of a changing room to a swimming pool.
I like the fact that you left that really mysterious, that sort of... You aborted the anecdote. You went, I want...
Yeah, well,
yes.
To be honest...
Whoa! What did you do, David?
I'll tell you, but to be honest, I was worried I'd told the researchers for this show and it was going to crop up later in the series.
Oh, I see.
I got changed for swimming at a swimming bath and I didn't know the layout of the place very well and I just sort of walked out in my trunks and barefoot into some badminton courts.
Wow! 16 years, we're running out of stuff, and you just throw that away.
Yeah. OK, you still think lie?
Yeah, but go with your gut.
Lie, we're going lie.
OK, they're saying it's a lie. Lucy, was it a lie or was it in fact true?
It was true.
Wow.
Yes, it's true. Lucy really did take part in a children's swimming gala.
My parents recently forced me to have a new kitchen fitted because my flat embarrassed them.
Lee.
How bad was the kitchen?
It was... I considered it adequate.
That good. Come back to mine, darling. I've got a very adequate kitchen. How would you describe the old kitchen?
It sort of had plasticky units that some of which I like to make them into personalities.
Hello, Brian. I've had a really lonely day.
Exactly. Brenda, where the pans go.
Hello, Tommy the toaster. Done anything today? No. Ian the iron seems to be getting all the work. No. So your parents came round. You feel that the kitchen's not really too bad?
They were sort of very unhappy about it, and ultimately they said, look, we really think you should do with this. We'll deal with the admin if you pay.
But you're a creative mind. I mean, you must have given them a steer as to which way you wanted it to go.
Describe a creative kitchen design steer that you imagine someone like me might have given.
OK, you may have said, I want an island in the middle, I want an Aga and a traditional electric.
I'm not making a planet. An island and a lagoon.
An island.
I want dragons in the north.
What's the new kitchen like?
It's plain. There's sort of, I think, kind of sort of cream units.
Have you been a kitchen salesman once,
What's the most complex thing you do in your kitchen?
I think worry about death.
So what do you think?
What do you think, Nina?
I think he's lying because his eyes go really big when he lies.
He also does that when he's aroused, though, so... What do you think, Charlie?
I think that's got the ring of truth to it. Because I imagine that David probably doesn't really care about his kitchen, but that other people do. Look at him, it's the truth.
OK.
You're going to say true?
Go on, then. We'll say it's true.
True. OK, David. Truth or lie?
It is, in fact, true.
After seeing a regression therapist, I genuinely believe that in a past life, I used to be a medieval Frenchman.
David, Steve.
A regression therapist?
Yes.
So what's a regression therapist?
So it's a therapist who gives you regression.
I mean, thank you for putting those words in a different order.
More than welcome.
So why is it therapeutic to be told you were someone in the past?
Well, they don't tell you who you are. They get you to a place where you remember who you are.
Past life regression takes a while to get to. So how many...
Have you done it?
I have started to talk to my therapist about it, but it's not an easy journey. It's a very bumpy ride to get to where you're going. So how long did it...
That may just be your therapist saying, Michelle, this is going to take quite a few sessions. At $350 a time.
You ought to know. On the NHS, one session. Pull yourself together, thank you.
So go on then, Trizzy. What do they do?
You lie on the sofa, and it's kind of like being hypnotised, where you get to a certain state and they start asking you questions of what you can see.
And what could you see?
So the first thing I saw was I landed in this field and they said, what's on your feet? And I said they were like these metal shoes and they sort of pointed.
So armour?
Yes.
Essentially the booty bit of armour?
Yes.
I've never heard you sound so butch in my life.
So I realised I was in armour because of the way I was walking, and then I walked towards this big castle. It was ruined. The castle was ruined completely.
So you're walking forward, clank, clank, clank. You go in the castle.
More likely to be clank, clank, clank once you get to the castle, which would probably have had some sort of floor, whereas the field was more...
Yes.
You walk to the castle, clank, 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 clank. And then there's like the drawbridge, a more resonant...
Clogum, clogum, clogum.
Yeah. And so you get there, and why is the castle ruined?
There's been a war.
Nothing to do with us. Preempting what would be said next, so...
No, there's been a war, and there's also bears.
What?
There's bears.
From the Happy Mondays?
No, bears.
Bez from the Happy Mondays.
Oh, bears.
She said there was also Bez.
Don't say it again, Rob.
I said from the Happy Mondays. Thank you.
So you're in a castle.
Yes.
The castle's in ruins.
Yes.
And there's bears.
What,
Yes.
from the Happy Mondays?
And is the idea behind this that we were all one person before, or we've been lots of people?
We've been lots of people before.
So if you go for the next session, you might get one of the other people.
Absolutely
You might not, and then you sort of go, I want to find out what happened to the medieval Frenchman. No, you can't do that. You're the Greek soothsayer today.
Some parts, I think, of the Buddhist faith believe that you carry on until you've lived every life.
That's it.
Wow.
So
Every life. At some point, David, I'm going to be you. And I'm going to do it differently.
But can you do it differently? In this system where we all get a go being everyone, doesn't it all just the ride goes the same, whatever? You sort of think, actually, no, I'm actually Lee Mack being David Mitchell, so I'm going to do it more northern. But it's too late. No, you've got to do David Mitchell. You can't. That could be happening now. You could be doing me, I could be doing you.
I'm not doing you now, David.
I think if you were doing yourself, you'd be being funnier than you are now with me doing it.
If I was doing myself now, I would be thrown off the show again.
What about you, David? Do you think you've lived other lives, David?
No, I don't think
Do you
I've
have
lived
any
other
time
lives.
for this poppycock?
My
Is that your nickname for him? Get a room, you two!
Michelle, I think you're going true.
100%.
Right.
I mean, Michelle is so convinced that it's true.
Yeah.
That I would then go with Michelle.
It's not hard to believe you went to a therapist and lay down and closed your eyes and had a think. And that and out of the thinking came some notion of clanking around, and that would make the story true, wouldn't it? I think we're going to say true.
Right. Chizzy, was it true, or were you telling a lie?
Oh, guys, come on. Yeah, it's true.
Yes, it's true. Chizzy really does believe she used to be a medieval Frenchman.
I had a job as a postman, but left after a week because I couldn't ride the bike.
Lee Mac, what do you think?
When was this?
When I was a student.
Oh, not just after this morning.
Did they provide a bike, or did you have your own bike?
They provide a bike.
And you couldn't ride it?
No.
Why couldn't you ride it?
Because the basket on the front that you put the letters in doesn't turn when you turn the handlebars, so you think you're probably going straight on, but you're not. You're trying to turn right, and you think, I'm scared, and then you fall off.
Sorry, what decade are we talking about?
Basket on the...
Basket on the front?
How old were you at the time?
18, so 1933.
She's exaggerating.
34, OK.
My wife has a bike with a high basket at the front. Sometimes I'll pop up, you know. I might pop up into the basket, you know. I'm doing Ronnie Corbett. I might pop up and admire the view. As you were.
So you lasted a week.
Good.
You lasted. Don't encourage him. I'm just glad that basket wasn't big enough to fit Terry Wogan in. Don't. So, how long? You're a week. Just 1 week. No.
Oh, feel it coming on. Now, are you edging anywhere closer to
suicide? Yes. What did you do after that? What was your next job?
Fern.
Question.
You seem to be stuck. Your face went to screensaver then.
Ooh, just jiggle my mouse, I'll come back.
I'll do it.
I worked in a sweet shop.
So what are you going to say?
Martin thinks it's true.
Martin thinks it's true.
Yeah.
Are you basing that on anything than a 50-50 guess?
I'm basing it because I didn't think it was when you started. You seemed hesitant, but then the confidence and the fullness of your answers convinced me.
I have to say, that's probably the most polite answer we've had on the show so far. The bit I don't understand is how the basket doesn't go the same way as
Well, that's what she didn't understand. That's what let her down over the whole arrangement, was the faulty bloody bicycle.
Go on, go with your science.
You think it's not true?
No.
OK, it's time to make a guess.
Well, what do we think? What was your...
I've told you!
Well, I didn't listen.
Jesus, this is dragging on, isn't it?
You were a bit like Doc Martin then when you got a bit cross, wasn't you? Yeah. We saw that side of him, didn't we? It was quite exciting. It was like watching Doc Martin without having to watch it. I liked you in Inspector Morse. Do you remember when you went, "You're a damn fool, Morse"? Do you remember that?
I also called him Cheese Inspector, but I said it really quickly, so and they left it in. Cheese Inspector? I used to do requests for friends when I got a job. I called Lovejoy Love Juice as well.
Did you?
Love Juice.
Really? Let's take a guess then.
I think it's true.
You think it's true?
Yeah, I don't think it's true.
I have to make the decision then, so I'll go with Sanjeev and say that that is not true.
You think it's not true? You think it's a lie? OK, so, Fern Britton, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
It's true.
Yes, it's true. Fern did have a job as a postman, but she left after a week because she couldn't ride the bike. Part of the problem is that the wheels on a post office bike are larger than normal. That's according to a spokesperson. That is a beauty. So please welcome this week's special guest, Zade. I must play Super Mario again. So, Joel, what is Zade to you?
Oh, this is Zade. He came to my wedding, and when he started dancing, my mum started crying.
Joel's wedding wrecker. AJ, how do you know Zade?
So this is Zade, and I had to cut short our only date because he insisted on riding a penny farthing.
AJ's disappointing date. And finally, David, what is your relationship with Zade?
This is Zade. After being splashed by a transit van, I wore his trousers to a book signing.
These team, where to begin?
Joel, when was your wedding?
It was in Mykonos.
Did I say when or where?
I said when.
When was your wedding?
Mykonos. When was it? Last September.
Last September. What was it about his dance that made your mum cry?
Well, I say dancing, it was moshing.
Was he the only one moshing?
He wasn't. Other people joined in with the moshing, and my mum thought they were fighting, and so
I see. Yeah. What was the music that was playing?
It was Papa Roach, Last Resort.
We have a sound team on this show that are pretty adequate. I think, even as we've been speaking, they've probably been searching... What was it called?
Papa Roach, Last Resort.
Hit it.
Oh, that actually worked.
Oh, my God.
Last resort. Suffocation, no breathing.
OK, well, OK, stop that. Why on earth were you playing that at a wedding?
In Mykonos?
Yeah.
Especially given it was the first dance.
So...
It's not very romantic, is it?
Yeah.
This is my last resort.
So we had our first dance, which was to a much more romantic song, and basically we had a party playlist sorted to start immediately after the first dance, and we should have, in hindsight, put it in some sort of order, but we actually just put it on shuffle.
Why didn't you pay for a DJ?
I'll be honest, I don't really understand the difference between a DJ and just, you know, and Spotify.
Well, a DJ will feel the room. When you're DJing, David, you've told me it's about a vibe, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you told me you sense the room.
My primary thought is fire safety.
So, when your mom saw him moshing,
yeah,
did she cry because of him or the general chaos?
I think my mum was crying with the general chaos, really, because everyone's just started moshing away. Then my mum was like, oh, my God, it's a fight. And my dad was like, oh, my God, it's a fight. And...
Have we found out yet how he knows Zade?
He goes to the gym that I used to go to.
And that's why you invited him to your wedding?
Yeah.
Did you invite all your gym people to your wedding?
Yeah, two gym people. There was only 29 people at the wedding, so I just
And
did...
two of them were randos from the gym?
Yeah. It's quite a bold move, isn't it, to go up to a strapping, muscly man and going, hiya, you ever been to Mykonos?
No, who would you like to quiz next?
AJ.
Right. Now, remind us, AJ, of the connection.
I had to cut short our date because he insisted on riding a penny farthing.
Did you meet him or did he come pick you up for the date?
No, we met.
And he was there on this bike. You were like, hey, Zade, how are you?
No, well, basically, we met in a bar. I had arrived before him, which was already annoying because I'm meant to arrive late, not you.
Yeah, come on, Zade.
Did you ask him why he was late?
No.
And he said, well, have a look at my bike. You'll see why.
I just didn't know anything about the penny farthing at all. We was having a lovely time on the day, and so he's like, right, should we move on to the next place? We were like, whilst we were talking, he did say that he had a penny farthing, and I just thought he was joking. And then I get outside, and he's unchaining it, and I was like, oh, you wasn't joking.
So why did you cut the date short, though?
I did actually go on to the next place. However, at the next venue, didn't find a pole to chain his penny farthing to. So, whilst we're sat at the bar, he keeps looking out the window. looking after this penny farthing?
I mean, it's one thing looking at other women on a date, but looking at a rusty old bike, that's too much, isn't it?
I'm not being funny, but it actually was.
Can I ask, AJ, is the big wheel at the front or the back?
I think it's at the front. I don't know.
So how did he get on it?
I don't... But him.
How did he get on the bike?
I didn't get on the bike.
I know you
Trust
didn't.
me, I did not get on that bike.
Yeah. Well, you've had enough thinking time now. How did he get on the bike?
You just, like, got on it.
Right, you've explained it now. Thank you. In the pub, your only objection was that he was looking out for his... I presume it's an antique bike.
Listen, I don't know where he got the bike from, whether he got it from Halfords or the Antiques Roadshow. All I know...
One of the two. I mean, you sounded to me like someone who's quite hard work on a date, if you don't mind me saying. I understand now why he brought along his plastic screen, so he didn't have to listen to you anymore.
How did you cut it short? What did you say?
Basically...
On your bike.
All right. David, remind us of how it is that you know Zade.
He let me wear his trousers after I'd been splashed by a transit van and I had to go to a book signing.
Where were you?
On my way to Foyle's bookshop in London.
And where was Zade?
He worked at the bookshop.
Was Zade a humble assistant? Was he head of Foyle's? What was he?
I'd be surprised if he was the chief executive of the company, but he worked in the bookshop.
So you get into the shop. Now, are these sort of khaki slacks? In which case, the stainage, if we can call it that, in your front trouser area is all the more alarming and does hint at perhaps problems of a urological type.
He's asking, did it look like you'd wet yourself?
It certainly might have done. Although, to be honest, my trousers were so wet, people would have admired me if they thought I could generate that amount of urine.
Did he offer his trousers, or was he forced by someone higher up the chain to strip off and give them to TV's David Mitchell?
He offered them. I came into the shop sort of in a squelch, sort of walking, and this signing was starting in a few minutes, and I was embarrassed by my appearance, if you can imagine such a thing, and...
And were the three fans staring at you, or were they looking the other way at this point, were they?
There was quite a considerable queue of, you know...
For the toilet, so you couldn't use that.
And Zade was there representing the bookshop to say, oh, you're here for the signing of your book. And it's a brilliant book, he said.
So he says to you, why don't you use my trousers?
He had some spare trousers with him.
Oh, he had spare ones? Yeah. I mean, how funny is your book?
But why did he have spare trousers?
Because he was going to the gym, where, you know, you meet people at the gym, don't you? And he was... they were like jogging bottoms.
So you did the book signing in jogging bottoms?
I did
Would it not been more appropriate for
yes.
him to wear the jogging bottoms and you to wear his trousers?
I felt that to suggest that would be a bit personal, and I didn't particularly... I thought, why not a pair of trousers that neither of us have worn that day?
Yeah, but it's an odd look, isn't it? Because I can imagine you turning up for a book signing, you've got your little checkered shirt on, your dicky bow, your little fez, and then you've got your tracksuit bottoms, and it's all tucked in, so they're like that. Hello, want me to sign that?
Obviously, with a book signing, you're sitting at a table, your legs aren't that visible.
Where in the shop did you go to change? Which section?
Please don't say the children's section.
In the back room, in the stock room area.
Right, and then at the end of after you'd signed your 3 books, you said, thanks for coming, Mum, thanks for coming, Dad. And then... And did you then... He liked that one, and he's not allowed to laugh. Did you then give him his trousers back, or did he say, oh, just take them, you can have them?
I gave him his trousers back.
What month were you going to Foyle's?
It was November.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that does check out.
Well done, David. It could have rained in November.
Fortunately, I didn't pick one of those months where it never rains in Britain.
OK, Lee's team. Is Zade Joel's wedding wrecker, AJ's disappointing date, or David's legwear lender?
They're all implausible, aren't they?
Well, Joel's is implausible.
You don't think Joel?
The whole, I invited 2 random guys from my gym. These two, I buy the dating thing big time, but I think that's a personal bias, yeah.
I think I buy it big time
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, if I was on a date and some guy was looking at his vehicle and not me, he's out. And then if the vehicle was a penny farthing, I'd be like, God, what a lunatic I picked up on the internet.
They just seem different types. I mean, it just doesn't ring true.
You don't know my type.
I do. I've tried ringing you many times and you never pick up.
So, Alex, if you had to plump for one of these...
Which I do.
Who would it be?
It would be AJ. Because I don't think people do get splashed by transit vans and puddles in real life.
You think it's AJ? You think it's AJ?
It's AJ.
OK, Zade, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Zade, and my dancing made Joel's mum cry.
Zade is Joel's wedding wrecker. Thank you very much, Zade.
Right. I once turned down an invitation to meet Prince because I wanted to stay at home and watch Only Connect.
These team.
What's Only Connect?
Are you serious?
What is it? I don't know what it is.
This is awkward. David's wife hosts it.
I'm with you there. Thanks,
You don't know
Ellie.
either.
No.
Oh, well, I mean, thank you for taking the opportunity let's not leave any stone unturned in terms of not having heard of
Well, let's
the
just
programme.
check then. Mist, have you heard of Only Connect?
No.
Only Connect is one of the most intelligent... Is quiz is a very...
Quiz is... It is
You
a
haven't
quiz.
seen it either, have you?
Yes, I have. Of course I've seen it. I have seen it. Only Connect, hosted by Victoria Coren Mitchell, who inexplicably married David.
Anyway, what was the situation where you got invited to meet Prince?
He rather fell in love with my furniture.
It's funny, actually, because my dog was called Prince and he fell in love with the furniture.
Did he? But no, my office had a call from Prince's people saying that he was coming to the UK doing a series of smallish tours, and he wanted Lawrence Llewellyn Furniture to be part of his green room experience.
Are you a big Prince fan?
Yes, actually, back in my youth, I was a really very passionate Prince fan.
So wouldn't that have been a big thing for Prince to actually purchase some of your furniture?
Huge! Absolutely enormous thing.
That quiz must have been good, innit?
He knows.
It is a very good quiz.
He knows.
What happens on Only Connect, Lawrence? No one else answers.
That's a very good question,
So
actually. It's
it's sort of general knowledge. There are hieroglyphics involved.
Name them.
There is the horned viper.
Is there? Her name is Victoria.
That one just slipped out.
I am so sorry. I couldn't... I saw the open goal. I had to get in before him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just so you know, don't ever kneel behind the desk in David's crotch again. OK, so that's true, yeah. And where were you going to meet him?
After one of his gigs. And, of course, that was his last thing before, you know, he then no longer existed. You know, we did rather miss the opportunity.
Please tell me you didn't do the speech at the funeral.
No.
Did he do a tour of Britain or just one venue?
I think this was part of a tour because we had to move the furniture around.
Oh, so the furniture went with him. Every single green room was decked with this stuff.
It was.
So it was a bit of a contract
Can you not
for you.
sneer when you say this stuff? Okay.
So basically, he's gone to you, DFS is closed.
What are we going to say? What do you think? Truth or lie?
I want to say it's a lie, but I think it's true.
Do you?
Mm.
What do we think?
I'm going to say it's a lie.
OK, you say lie, you say true.
Truth.
So it's all down to you.
So I'm going to go with Jade.
OK, you're saying it's true.
Yes.
Lawrence, Prince, truth or lie?
It is true.
Yes, it's true. Lawrence really did snub Prince so he could watch Only Connect.
On a wall in my flat, there is a mysterious red switch. I have no idea what it does because I have never pressed it and refuse to do so.
Right, mysterious red switches. Lee.
Where's the switch?
It's on the wall. Sort of not directly, but slightly behind the television.
Haven't you just had to be tempted to touch it? See what it does?
It's not that distracting. It's, you know, it's bright red. I'd say it's about maybe 3/4 of an inch or an inch wide.
It's like one of those cooker switches, doesn't it?
It's a bit like that sort of switch. It's sort of cocked up in a sort of inviting way that you might want to give a tweak
so
to.
It's in an upward position. You'd have to flick it down.
Exactly.
Oh, that's always more scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is your house...
If it were down, I'd assume that whatever it does was happening.
Right, and
I'd be afraid to turn it off.
That would be awful.
Because I might need it. You know, it might turn the oxygen off.
You've never gone near it? You've never touched it?
Gone near it?
But you've never been
I've gone very near it. I don't live in a very large flat. I can't cordon off a whole area of the living room just because of the proximity of a mysterious switch. I need that space.
How long have you been in your flat and ignored this switch?
Well, I've moved into the flat about 11 years ago.
That's a long time to ignore a switch.
But sometimes I do other things. It's not just been solidly ignoring the switch 24 hours a day.
How is your granddad's dialysis machine going at the moment?
So, Lee, what are you going to say? This mysterious switch, is it true?
I started believing it because I thought, yeah, you do have those switches in your house and you don't know what they're for. I've got them.
But you'd have to flick the switch, wouldn't you?
Oh, I'd have to flick
the switch.
I would be flicking that switch.
You can't not fiddle, can you? It's there, you've got to play with it.
Yes, well, you know...
I remember seeing an episode of this show when David talked about his bedroom door, didn't have a door handle on it, he had to claw his door open every single time he opened his bedroom door.
Yeah.
So therefore, he's not going to bother about a switch.
No, he lives in a slum,
He's going to
doesn't he?
leave the... Yeah, basically, yes, he does.
He lives in a slum.
So I say it's true.
If they paid proper repeat fees on Dave, it would be different.
So, Lee, what are you going to say? Truth or lie?
Des.
He's telling a lie.
You think he's telling a lie?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I don't think he can ignore that. Look at that intelligent face. Look at that beard now. He does look like a professor.
He hasn't got a bedroom door handle, Des.
How do you know?
How do you
Because
know?
I've watched...
So, truth or lie?
I think I will go with Tess and say it's true.
You're saying it's true. David, truth or lie?
It is true.
Yes!
Yes, it's true. David does have a mysterious red switch on the wall of his flat which he's never pressed. So please welcome this week's special guest, Martin. So, Zand, what is Martin to you?
This is Martin, and when I accidentally shaved off a chunk of my beard, he lent me some of his.
Maya, how do you know Martin?
OK, so this is Martin, and he once exercised my car because I thought it was haunted.
And finally, Lee, your relationship with Martin.
This is Martin. He freed me after I got my fingers stuck in a bowling ball.
So there we have it. David, where do you want to begin?
Zand, so he lent you a section of his beard?
Yes, so I had shaved off that side of my beard by mistake, and I needed...
How did you do that?
You put the teeth on the beard trimmer so that you have to adjust it.
Yes.
And I didn't put the teeth on and shaved my cheek twice. Zup, zup, cleared the cheek. Then I needed replacement beard hair.
And where does this chap come in?
I was filming a television programme the next day, and the problem was that we'd already filmed some of it, and so I had to keep the beard, and I also have it in my contract that I always have to have a beard because I have an identical twin brother, and without the beard I look like him, and then I can't
I don't think that would be a problem, because you still had some of the beard. I think you'd still be distinguishable from your... Unless he had madly grown a partial beard.
OK, so how do you come into contact with someone? Is this a service that someone provides whereby if you misshave, he'll help you out?
No.
Do you regret your Brazilian?
Well, with the help of this man's hairy face...
So Martin is a sound person or an acoustic engineer on the TV show that I was working on, and he kindly trimmed off a bit of his beard and allowed me to glue it to my face.
So how many days did you have to film? Because presumably you'd have to remove this hair at the end of the day. You can't go to bed with that, can you?
So at the end of the day, Martin gave me an envelope of his beard trimmings.
Oh,
he trimmed it
get
off.
away.
I carried the envelope. I had to film for the rest of the weekend, in fact, into the next week. And so for about 5 or 6 days, I was gluing. I had some eyelash glue, and I was gluing.
Because he gave you an envelope of his hair.
So he gave you a couple of clumps on that first day, and at the end of the day, he said, "Well, there you go. That'll see you through until the middle of next week."
So, and he must have lost a fair bit of his then.
It's a mighty beard.
It's a dense beard, I will say that.
His beard does it like a feeder beard, like it's designed just to feed other beards.
Yes. It's like...
Wholesaler beard.
Right, who would you like to quiz next?
Maya, this car. What model of car was it?
Mercedes 500.
And what made you think it needed exorcising?
OK, well, I have quite a spiritual Swedish nan.
Yeah.
And I was telling her that it's always quite cold. There's 2 seats in the car. It's always quite cold. It feels like there's wind coming in, even when all the windows and there's no holes in it or anything like that. And sometimes when I go into my car park, which is underground, I have felt like someone touched me a couple of times, just on the shoulder or, like, there. And so I told her about it, and she was like, I know this guy, Martin.
And it's probably him.
She said, you should have a little chat with Martin. He does this kind of thing. He goes and he'll get rid of the bad spirits and stuff like that. And if it is your new car, then it's best that you get it sorted out, you know?
I got to say, you did say, so your nan's Swedish?
Yeah.
Martin does look strikingly Scandinavian.
He does, actually, doesn't he? You could imagine him on a hardwood floor.
What are you doing on this hardwood floor, Rob?
Being Swedish. Yeah, maybe. It's a hardwood floor for a while, with high-quality hi-fi, nice speakers. So your nan said that he does this sort of thing. What does she mean by that?
Well, he's a medium. That's what these sort of people
Well,
do.
a medium is not the same as an exorcist.
Well, I was going to say, medium isn't the same as an extra large.
No, I don't know.
To be clear, he is not a priest.
No, he doesn't...
That's your classic person who can do exorcism, is a priest.
I don't think they do cars, though. I mean, I know things have gone bad for the church, but...
Exorcism is quite a loose term here, because I know there are a lot of people that they clear energy.
Yeah, like they read your cards and they say, oh, there's someone in the room and that kind of stuff.
So he's more of a general...
charlatan.
He's a ghost.
If it's true, I'm going to get killed, but it's not true because he got my finger stuck in a bowling ball and helped her out. If it was true.
So Maya, talk us through what he did for you.
So I'm going to be honest, I wasn't in the car. It's a 2-seater. He got in the car. I stayed a little bit away.
So there wasn't room for you and him and the ghost?
Of course not. And then, basically, I watched from a distance. He was shouting for a little while. And then he did vibrate a little bit. And then that was about it.
So like this?
So you were a bit further away, so did you see him just...
I just saw a shaking bearded man.
What was
Could
he
you
saying?
see his hands when he was vibrating?
Yes, that's important.
I can't remember. His hands were on show.
All right. His hands were on show, as far as we know. And how did he finish? No, Roman, Kent! What would your listeners think?
No, how did it end? He came out of the car and then he said, well, I've done what I can. I've had a word.
Done what I can.
He does so well, and then she gets to the end and she's like, then he just got out and said, see you later, bye, there you go. It's almost the last bit that you just dropped the ball.
I'm having a laugh. I'm playing along. But he did. He said he basically had finished what he needed to do. He'd come to the end of the exorcism.
So did he give you any feedback about what he'd cleared?
Well, he did. He looked at me and he said, like that. No, he acknowledged the fact that there was, in fact, something in there.
So he didn't say you've wasted your money hiring me. That needed doing.
He confessed.
That was a big one in there.
OK, so what exactly did Martin say that he found?
Well, he wasn't that clear, I'll be honest. He just said it was a spirit. I think there's levels to this ghost talking stuff. Like, it
Spirit
depends
levels.
How far in.
OK, now, what about Lee? Remind us, Lee, of your claim.
This is Martin, and he once helped me when I got my fingers stuck in a bowling ball.
Oh. So when was this?
This was about a year ago.
And who are you bowling with? Family trip?
It was my son's birthday.
Oh.
What was Martin's job at the bowling alley?
He didn't have a job at the bowling alley. He was in the lane next to me.
Yeah. Which finger got stuck?
It was those two fingers got stuck.
They both got stuck?
I know.
Wow. And above the knuckle, did you...
Not tonight, darling.
Did you plunge them in?
So I went into the ball.
Like that.
I'm thinking, hello. And then I'm thinking, it's the something... I've picked up the wrong ball. Picked up a 12 kilogram, not a 14. I've only gone and put my fingers in all that's too small. My fingers are stuck. Oh, well. Give me something to talk about on the show.
So how did he get him out? How did he get him out?
He said, are you all right, mate? And I said, I've actually got my fingers stuck in the ball. And he said, well, can I help you? I said, I don't know. Are you qualified? And he said, no, I've never done anything like this in my life. I said, well, neither have I. That's two of us.
This is sounding quite romantic now.
Yeah, so I touched his face gently, but knocked him out.
Yeah. Okay. Then later he came round.
Yes. Yes. I said, how did you get my address?
Yeah.
He said, can I help you? I said, you tell me. So he said, all right, let's see if we can pull it off. So he held on. The children held my arm as he pulled. Right. And it didn't work. So he said, why don't I go to the kitchen and get something to use as a sort of lubricant?
OK.
And he came back with quite a large tub of butter.
When he's gently lubing your fingers up...
Yeah.
And there's a man you've never met before and your wife's off and it's just you and him, what were you talking about?
Oh, you know, we were chewing the fat. And he said, don't, we'll need that.
Is that what did it?
Eventually, the lubrication and the excessive pulling and a little bit more pulling from the opposite direction from my wife and the kids at the party resulted in and out it came.
All right, so we need an answer. So David's team, is Martin Zahn's bearded buddy, Maya's car cleanser, or Lee's finger freer?
I think I'm sceptical about Lee's story, but the problem is that the other two stories are, one is that he exorcised a car, and the other is that he lent some beard hair.
It's definitely Zander.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's fine. We're fine.
So you're willing to accept that this man took clippings from his own beard, put them into an envelope, gave them to Zand, and he then stuck them onto his face.
Rob, if you were to take trimmings of your beard, what exactly... And you had to give them to someone, what exactly are you meant to be putting them in anyway?
Tupperware.
What did you say he worked in? He works in the audio department.
He could work in the audio department, but also he could be a Scandinavian exorcist, I suppose. I haven't seen many Scandinavian
Could work in a bowling alley.
No.
He didn't work in a bowling alley, did he? He just had to be there.
No, hang on, he didn't work. That's why I was getting confused, because he was temping.
Maya, do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah,
I believe in ghosts.
Do you? Why do you believe in ghosts?
Why not?
Well, because they patently don't
you're
exist.
not going to logic bomb me.
OK, if there's so many ghosts, well, if ghosts exist, why are they always in isolated places rather than absolutely cramming central London? People have been living and dying in misery in central London for 2,000 years in that square mile. You shouldn't be able to move for ghouls. And yet you don't see them there in the modern office blocks, or with the plague, or being eaten by a lion in Roman times, or having their head chopped off for no reason. Oh, no, it's in one pub where a total of 2,000 people have lived ever. That's where the ghosts hang out. Doesn't make any sense.
So what are you going to say, David?
OK.
What are you going to say?
It's 100% Zander.
Right, well, are we happy to go with that?
I think so,
yeah. We're going to go with that.
You're saying it's Zand? OK.
Yeah.
Martin, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Martin, and I lent Zander my beard.
Yes, Martin is Zand's bearded buddy. Thank you very much, Martin.
Last year, at a party, I shared a jacuzzi with 3 of the eggheads.
David Mitchell's team.
Which 3 eggheads?
It was Barry. I know, right? Kevin. And Chris.
Do the eggheads, are they only allowed in a jacuzzi for 3 minutes?
What was the party?
Well, it was all of the sort of quiz shows together. We're doing a big photo shoot, and it was us, and by us I mean Pointless. It was Eggheads, The Chase, and like 15 to 1.
How'd you get all them in?
Just out of interest, who initiated the jacuzziing?
There have been some photographs in it earlier in the evening, and then later in the evening, people were jumping in of their own accord.
Right.
What was the photo shoot for?
Radio Times, TV Times, one of those.
So with the concept for the photo was 3 eggheads and you in a jacuzzi. what were the 15 to 1ers and the chasers doing?
We were doing all sorts of photographs, drinking champagne, jacuzzi. It was supposed to be, you know, decadence and all this kind of stuff.
The concept was decadence in the quizzing community.
I think it was champagne, chocolates, just being decadent. I think. But
chocolates in a jacuzzi.
Not in a jacuzzi.
Sort of a box of black magic bobbing back. I think photographing a lot of people from different quiz shows in a ridiculously kind of opulent setting is the sort of idea that a listings at magazine might have. For example, with the last series of this, they had us sitting around a table pretending to play poker and pulling loads of faces.
Yes.
It's the kind of stunt that they do, rather than just having a normal photograph and then a note of when the programme is on, which is all you need.
I rather enjoyed the poker photo. It's a lovely opportunity to spend time with you and Lee out of this environment, but never mind if you weren't happy.
To be honest with you, Rob, I also had a terrible time.
Right, it's time to make your mind up. What way are you leaning, Alan?
I don't think it's true. I can see the photo shoot, but I just can't see him in a jacuzzi.
Continuing to party at the end of a photo shoot was certainly not something we considered, was it, Lee, at the end of the aforementioned
Literally,
poker.
as he put the cap on the end of the camera like that, we were in the taxi, weren't we? Yeah. And I remember as we drove off, winding the window down and hearing, "It's my round, lads."
Yeah.
It's my round! Take your head down, he's looking!
Rob sent me the end of his anecdote in 5 long texts.
So, Jermaine, what do you think?
I'm going to say...
Is this a musical?
False.
You say a lie.
You think it's a lie?
A lie.
So you both think it's a lie?
Yeah.
We'll say lie.
You're going to say it's a lie. OK, so Richard, jacuzzis, photo shoot, truth or lie?
It is... lie.
Hey!
Yes, it's a lie. Richard didn't share a jacuzzi with 3 of the eggheads. So please welcome this week's special guest, Stuart. So, Victoria, what is Stuart to you?
This is Stuart. He once laughed so much at something I said on Only Connect, he passed out.
Right, so Victoria's fainting fan. Greg, how do you know Stuart?
This is Stuart, and when I opened his butcher's shop, he paid me in sausages.
Greg's butcher buddy. And finally, David, what is your relationship with Stuart?
This is Stuart. He's the lollipop man. He's the lollipop man whose lollipop I held when he was suddenly called away on non-lollipop-related business.
So, there we have it. Lee's team, where do you want to begin?
Right. I've seen Only Connect. First question, what was the team called?
Oh, no, he wasn't on the show.
Oh, he's in the audience?
A viewer at home.
Oh, he's a viewer at home?
Well, you'll know, Lee, because you've seen the show. One of my hilarious jokes. He actually passed out at home from laughing.
Right. Do you want to have a little bit of time, or do you want to tell us that hilarious joke? But before you do, I must warn you watching at home, you might want to turn the volume down. What Victoria is about to say could kill you.
It wasn't really a joke, it was a story. So one of the clues was a picture clue, and it was Schnorbits.
Bernie Winter's dog?
Yeah, the dog, exactly.
Very well done. Obviously, you'd have to identify all 4 to get the points, but... And I told a story as background to the question about the time that Schnorbits fell into Terry Scott's swimming pool and had to be rescued by Barbara Windsor. Control yourself, Stuart.
That story resulted in somebody laughing so much. Well, my God, it's the way you tell them.
I think what really got Stuart might have been my subsequent quip. That's a party I'd like to have been at.
No, even with that, I'm... Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice, witty comment. I could crack a smile at home. I might even, if I was watching it, I'd go...
It's not necessarily a joke. I think it was just... It's a funny story.
Is it not true that the average Only Connect audience member may be, you know, a little bit elderly and people are just regularly passing out anyway?
It's a practical question. If this happened in his house, how do you know about it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
His family wrote to me and said that he was hospitalised laughing at something I'd said.
They weren't after money, were they?
No, they said, you know, they thought I'd like to know about it because maybe I would send him a get-well-soon card, which I did.
All right. Who would you like to quiz next?
OK, so, Greg, what's the name of the butchers?
Sampson's.
Sampson's?
Sampson's...
Yeah. He's risking it a bit, having his hair cut like that, isn't he?
It's Stuart Sampson, so it's his butchers.
Sampson's Butchers.
Because I grew up in Bromley. It was our local family butcher. And then...
He used to butcher families? But only if they live locally?
Yeah.
I'm the local family butcher. Do you live local and have you got a family?
Yeah, he's the family butcher, and then when I left and then I got onto Radio 1, Mum and Dad still know Stuart, so he said, would Greg want to come down, maybe bring Radio 1 down, bit of press coverage.
OK.
So,
Do you like sausages?
love sausages.
Oh, great.
Who
So this is like the perfect way of paying you, because you don't have to pay tax on it, you don't have to declare it. Did you declare
Don't need to get into that. Why are you...
But this is
we're all getting paid in sausages. So. It's a new thing.
How far ahead of this gig did you know that was... Presumably, you were just doing it as a favour to an old family friend.
Well, we did it as a wacky bit on the radio.
Oh, it was included on the radio show?
So we went to his shop and we were broadcasting live from the butcher's.
OK.
And so we sort of cut the ribbon, but it was a string of sausages.
Right.
So that was the...
And what, did you do a speech?
Well, I said, here we go, welcome to... welcome...
Did you write that yourself?
Yeah. It got better.
Oh, right. There's only one way to go, though, to be fair.
Now, what about David?
David.
Lollipop man, standing.
You held his lollipop stick so he could go and do non-lollipop duties?
Yes.
So, first of all, what were the non-lollipop duties?
He had to hurry home because a sofa was being delivered.
Presumably, then, he didn't actually return, so it wasn't a...
He didn't return.
So it wasn't a short standing, you were the lollipop man.
I was for I mean, I would say between 9 and 11 minutes.
Wow. Let's just say, like normal people, for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Did he give you the uniform?
He gave me his hat and this sort of flory jacket thing.
Tabard thing.
Yeah, and the all-important rod of power.
How many children do you think you helped cross the road?
Say maybe 30.
OK, so between 29 and 31. And did you... Did you have any banter with the kids?
No.
Did you just do your usual of, hurry up?
No, I think I probably, you know, I went, oh, right, yes, this way.
This way?
This way.
goes away.
Can I ask a question about emotion?
He won't know the answer.
How did you feel when you were the lollipop man?
Holding the rod of power.
I felt a bit stressed, but it went fine. Only a couple of minor injuries.
Tell us about how it began. Were you there dropping off your own child at school, or did you just happen to be on one of your long runs in the morning? I mean, what were you doing?
I was dropping off.
I think what Rob's asking is, what were you doing within 200 yards of a playground? Given the, you know, given the court
most
order.
people are allowed.
Right.
Hold on a minute. Did David tell you about this story about the lollipop guy?
OK, well, first of all, this isn't true, because Stuart is a person that laughed at one of my jokes.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm completely... Yeah,
This is new territory on the show now.
Yes, I'm in a slightly odd place philosophically. Let me say, I'll use the conditional tense. Were this to be true, which it isn't, David certainly would have come home a bit flustered and told me what occurred.
David, you've obviously heard Victoria telling you about Stuart fainting. You've heard about that? And you...
Well, no, because it's not true.
All right, we need an answer. So, Lee's team. Is Stuart Victoria's fainting fan, Greg's butcher buddy, or David's lollipop lender?
I think it's Victoria.
Why?
I just know, I just had an... Because first I thought,
Yeah, but
OK,
she told us the joke.
No, I know,
I'd like to say, all right, it was quite amusing, but it wasn't even that.
But the punchline was, oh, I would have loved to have been at that party. That was the punchline. Was that the punchline, or...?
You haven't seen my show, have you?
No.
I don't watch it, it's too risky.
Yeah.
Victoria, how did you feel when you heard the news?
About the injury?
No, about your husband being a lollipop man.
I would say it was a mixture of concerned and delighted.
All right.
To have told a story that was so funny someone was hospitalised. Maybe you'll find out one day.
All right, who is telling the truth?
I think it's Victoria, personally.
I'm just going to put it out there. It's Greg, and I know you two don't agree with me.
You think Victoria, you think Greg?
Go on, Captain, you decide.
Yeah, you go.
It's me or him. You decide.
It is literally 50-50.
Can I just say it might be me as well?
We are going to go with Victoria.
Stuart, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Stuart, and laughed that hard at Victoria's very funny story.
Yes, Stuart is Victoria's fainting fan. Thank you very much, Stuart.
Every time I make a cup of tea, I pretend I'm in the World Darts Final and test out my skill at throwing the tea bag in the cup.
David's team.
That's not exactly what you have to do in darts, is it? How far away from the cup do you stand to throw the bag?
I do exactly 4 paces. Got large paces, so, Rob, about 6 paces.
And what sort of tea bags do you favour?
The old David Mitchell chat-up line. The tea bag of preference
Do you
is...
use a pyramid bag?
No.
Or a frisbee-like Tetley affair?
The little round ones, the round ones. Because, as we all know, if you're going to try and throw a pyramid-shaped tea bag into a cup at 4 paces, well, you're an idiot. We all know that.
What's your success rate?
About 1 in 10. The way I do it is this. So you get 3 tea bags, you take your 4 paces, and then you do a little bit of a, you know, psych yourself up, pretend it's the World Darts Final, give yourself
have a pint of bitter.
Yeah, you know, put on a bit of weight, yeah. Get the tea bag and then give myself a bit of pressure by saying to myself, here he is, Lee Mack. He needs to get one tea bag into the cup to become the World Darts Champion. Can he do it?
If you get it in the cup, do you then say 180?
No, because there's only one, so I just go, 1! But I'd use the end bit, I'd go, 1 tea! And then I'll throw 3, and then I'll go back and I'll gather the 3, and I'll do it again, and then I'll give myself one final throw of 3s.
It sounds remarkable, and
Well,
we're all now picturing it, aren't we?
Yeah.
In our minds. How lovely it would be if we had a mug.
Well, that's the thing.
And if we had some tea bags, and if the mug, for example, got popped just on the desk there. Why don't you put it there?
Well, that is far more than 4 paces.
Yeah, you've got to come over here. You come over here.
I tell you what, after this, we're going to forget all this truth and lies stuff. This is a much better game.
Right. So what I do is I go up to the cup like that, and I'll sort of do 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
I'll often do this. I'll look to my right, might put the kettle on, get it ready, and I'll often look to the left and go, Rob, get out of my kitchen. And I'll go like that. I'll go, Heston, the beans are burning. You were in charge of them. David, put some clothes on. And then I will... The trick is to get... You can't squeeze too hard because you split the bag.
Oh, I know.
The trick is to give the tea bags a little shake, and then you've got to get them compact. I mean, it's a bit disgusting, but a real little trick is if you've got sweaty palms, you'll get a bit more, you know what I mean? A bit more
I've got sweaty palms.
Yeah, but I don't want you, because I've got to drink the tea.
Oh, right.
You're not always going to be there for me, are you?
I am.
At least say you're not, David. And then you put it onto your head.
Lee, just say, you've obviously got quite a large kitchen.
Well, no, because now I'm now in the living room.
But you just said the kettle's there.
Yeah, no, I keep my kettle in the living room. I'm old school. Why get up to make a cup of tea? Put it next to your sofa. I'm not an idiot. Right, and then you do that. You get it on your head like this.
Yeah.
And then you do that. I'll tell you what, when it hits the cup, it's a lovely noise. Now, at this point at home, I'll be going, because look at this. This is actually turning into an event now. And then I'll go, Lee Mack has only got 6 tea bags left to become the world champion. He's going to have to make sure that this one goes in, otherwise Joggy Wilson will be in.
Lovely. Well, there we are. So what are you going to say then, David?
Well, the thing is, it is difficult now, because whether or not it's true, he's definitely going to do it from now on. As am I. Do you think it's a lie?
I'm not sure.
I think it's true. Well, I think we're going to say true.
You're going to say it's true. OK, Lee, truth or lie?
It was, in fact, true.
Yes, it's true. Lee does pretend he's in the World Darts Final every time he makes a cup of tea. So please welcome this week's special guest, Johnny. So, Johnny, what is Johnny to you?
This is Johnny, and we once pretended to be members of Take That to get backstage at a gig.
Right. Johnny's boy band buddy. Anna, how do you know Johnny?
This is Johnny, and it's my fault that he had to climb a mountain twice in one day.
Right. Anna's unhappy hiker. And finally, Lee, your relationship with Johnny.
This is Johnny. At school, we both fell victim to Brian Pimento's infamous biscuit con.
So there we have it. David, where would you like to begin?
Johnny, what did you do with him? You snuck backstage?
Well, we didn't sneak.
Yeah.
What we did is we convinced an ignorant promoter in the early days of Take That that we would Take That. We didn't only snuck backstage, we wanted to go on as Take That.
Did you go on? Said that you were actually in the band?
We said that we were the band. We were at a local county show and we decided it would be a good idea. Take That had just released It Only Takes a Minute Girl. So
which is an unusual brag.
And they weren't that well known, so they booked them cheap, and we decided to just chance our arm and pretend that we were them.
And which particular member? Because I'm struggling here to think who it would be.
This was a stroke of genius. Johnny told them that, like, every boy band needs one that's, like, everyone thinks they stand a chance with, and that was me. You always need one in the band that you think, yeah, I could.
Yeah. and that, Rob, is why we have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So where was this?
At a big show.
Well, a big show, that's not very specific.
Oh,
you said it was at a county show.
No,
so
no. Yeah, right.
I'm imagining it's a lot of livestock being sold and displayed. But
It wasn't that far.
Right.
Because before we were due to go on stage, they just judged the best rabbit.
I can totally imagine a kind of event where early in the evening they judge the best rabbit and then Take That comes on. But just in case not everyone can picture it, can we have some details?
It was St Helens.
What county is St Helens in?
Merseyside, and yet with the Cheshire postcode. Sort that out.
When was this, Johnny?
It was a big show. It was a big show.
Johnny, what happened? Did you get up onto stage?
No, what we did is we turned up and announced ourselves as Take That.
Yes, but there's only two of you.
He was better looking at the time. You know, marriage and running a pub hadn't ravaged him. And we turned up and just announced that we were Take That.
And how far did you get with it?
We got backstage. They were running late, so we were gonna go on as Take That.
Right.
And there was only one guy who, outside of myself, who'd seen the video.
Yeah.
And just as they were about to announce us on, he ran up and told us to get out.
All right. Who would you like to question next?
OK. First question, Anna. Is what Johnny's saying true? The fact that you're considering it is bad news for your story. Can you remind us of your story? Something about a mountain twice.
Yes, it's my fault. He had to climb a mountain twice in one day.
Which was the mountain?
It's called Cat Bells.
Anyone heard of a mountain called Cat Bells?
It sounded like she was trying to say Catmandu and forgot the rest. Cat Bells.
Where's...
In which country?
Yeah, where's Cat Bells?
It's this country, my love. It's near Keswick in the Lake District.
in the Lake District.
What was Johnny? Was he, like, with you on a trip? Was he your guide, or was he, like, an ambulance person?
Has it got to be one of the three?
I'm giving options.
OK, well, don't go through them all. We'll be here all day. Was he a fireman? Was he a postman? Was he a friend of your cousin or your cousin's friend? Was he your Uncle Pete or your Uncle Bob or your Auntie Pauline? Or just, you could use another system. Who was he?
Who was he?
Who was he?
Johnny's my friend.
Why was he and were you going up Cat Bells?
Because it was like an anniversary, friend group anniversary. Leave the children at home, get on the bits, but earn the things and do a bit of exercise.
Get on the bits and earn the things. She's making perfect sense. Get on the bits and earn the things.
What do you mean?
Have you had a bang on the head? Get on the bits and earn the things. What?
So
what are you talking about?
Yes, yeah. Lee's question. Please answer Lee's question.
We're marking 25 years of friendship.
Right.
To earn the night out.
This is the exercise that you're doing to justify getting drunk later.
Yeah.
And you go up Cat Bells.
Yep.
Tired, nice view. Go down Cat Bells. Why do you make him go up again?
Because I realised that I had lost my phone and presume my phone is at the top.
How long does it take to get up Cat Bells?
About 2.5 hours.
Good Lord.
Oh.
So I'm having a little, episode, a weep and a cry, and Johnny volunteers to go back up and get it.
Right.
And is that because Johnny fancies himself as Wolverine?
I've not seen those films. Is he a great phone fetcher?
Neither have I, but he's very Hugh Jackman, isn't he?
Have you not seen that film, David? Wolverine Phone Fetcher?
think it's more that he's a very kind person, and I know a few things about Johnny, so...
So a mixture of goodwill and blackmail.
Yeah, I'm hasten to add, when Johnny was in my life, in my story, he was a very generous person. He always went out of his way to help.
In my story, he's an intolerable pillock.
So he goes back up to get the phone, then what happens?
And then I realised the phone is on my person. Johnny came back down and said, I'm so sorry I couldn't find it. And then I just said, oh dear, and kept hidden that I actually had it.
And when did you come clean?
Last New Year.
How did Johnny react when you told him?
He was pretty good-natured. He likes exercise.
All right, now what about Lee's story?
So...
Just remind us, Lee, what it is you're trying to convince us of.
This is Johnny, and when we were at school, we both fell victim to Brian Pimento's biscuit con.
Who is Brian Pimento, and what was his biscuit con?
Good question. Brian Pimento was a kid in our school who was a few years older than me and Johnny.
So how old were you at this point?
11 or 12.
And what was his biscuit con?
Well, he approached us in the playground and said, hello, boys, I've hidden a biscuit. Do you want to find it? He said that his dad worked for McVitie's as a lorry driver.
Yes.
And that he could get us a whole tin of assorted biscuits each.
Ooh.
Those big Christmassy ones with 3 layers.
And what did you have to do to get these?
Well, he said, so if your parents smoke and you can take some cigarettes from them and give them to me, I'll exchange it for 2 big tins of triple-stacked, Christmas-assorted biscuits.
How many cigarettes did he require for those biscuits?
5 each.
That's a good deal.
For who?
For, I would say for you.
Yeah.
David,
let's talk.
You stole 5 and Johnny stole 5 from his parents?
Didn't ask where he got his from.
OK.
You never ask questions with these sort of things. I said to him, where'd you get your cigarettes from? And he went...
I thought you said you never ask questions with these sorts of things.
No, that's what I learned when I said, where'd you get your cigarettes from?
So this was the next day, you turn... Is it? The
No,
day?
that evening.
That evening?
Meet us in the woods.
Nice and specific.
Meet us in the woods tonight and and bring your keyboard.
What happened?
What happened?
He came and we thought he'd be on his own, like he was when he offered us the deal. From the bushes, 3 lads appeared either side of him. He took the cigarettes, he said thank you, and then they all started laughing their heads off at us.
Oh, shame.
And said,
Lee.
Ain't no biscuits, son.
All right, well, we need an answer. Is Johnny Johnny's boy band buddy, Anna's unhappy hiker, or Lee's scammed schoolmate?
What do you think?
I think it's Anna's hiker. I think that's the one that has the biggest ring of truth for me.
Lee's story was, you know, fine. But the thing is, you and Johnny are not the same age.
Don't listen to her, Johnny. She's being very rude to you.
I see a lot of myself in Anna, and I would have gone up a mountain for bits. So I believe that side of it, and I think...
So you both think it's Anna.
What are you thinking, David?
We're going to go with Anna.
OK, right. So, Johnny, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Johnny, and Johnny and I pretended to be members of Take That.
Yes, Johnny is Johnny's boy band buddy. Thank you very much, Johnny.
En route to a meeting at the BBC, I gave CPR to an OAP.
How old?
C.
Pardon?
How old?
I'm 48.
Why did she need mouth to mouth?
Well, it turns out she didn't, and... But, you know, how do I know how you fix a sprained ankle?
And how did you encounter the OAP?
The OAP was just outside the tube station where the BBC was, and soon will be again, I believe.
Which line?
What?
Which line did you get on?
I got the train to Waterloo, and then I got the tube.
Which colour?
Well, she started off sort of pink, then she went red. Then she went a bit yellow, and then I just got got her back again.
What colour tube?
Funny enough, when I got back that day and my wife said, what's happened today? I think, well, what a journey.
When did this happen? I believe that you've been on the London Underground.
Thank you, Dave. Well, should we leave it at that?
Not quite. Describe the scene.
I saw people in a circle looking down on the floor.
Right.
Someone said, is anyone a doctor? And I said, yeah, there's loads of people.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't suppose you can do CPR, can you? And I went, can I do CPR? And as it happens, I can do CPR.
So what does CPR involve?
Yeah.
Put my hand there, and I started doing this.
Yeah.
This.
What's your rhythm?
I did this.
That's too slow.
Yeah, that's slow.
It's meant to be
you want it
staying
in
alive.
Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted it in slow motion.
It's the music of staying alive.
You wanted it in the pink beat edit. Yeah, but my record player's broke. Staying alive. Will you speed that record player up, lad? Staying alive. I'll tell you what tragedy's the worst. Tragedy. Really upsetting.
So what happened?
We got a new record player.
How many of these did you do?
I think I did. Still alive. That was a problem. I paused for the high-pitched note as you went blue again. Still alive. Still alive. This didn't help. So I'd say I probably got through the first verse.
OK, so you did the first verse of Staying Alive, then what happened?
And then she literally got up at the right moment of the verse. She went, Staying alive! And then the ambulance came and took her off, and she went straight over a bridge and died.
So, what are you thinking? Stacey, does that have the ring of truth for you?
Awful ending to the story, I'm so sorry.
I'm very suspicious. He doesn't even know what tube he got on.
You really, that's the most doubtful part of the story.
What do you think, Susie?
Yes.
No, I think his rhythm was all wrong.
Whoa.
You've been told that before. No, I don't believe it.
Don't believe it?
No.
Then we think it's a lie.
You think he was making all of that
do,
up? Goodness
I'm
me.
afraid.
Lee, truth or lie?
It is, in fact, a lie! I missed.
Yes, it's a lie.
I once crawled through passport control on my hands and knees because I'd forgotten to pack my passport.
Please, team.
Where was this?
Brussels.
On the way in or on the way out?
On the way out.
It's horrible when Brussels are on the way out.
So when did you start the crawl?
There was a passport official sitting there at this high desk reading an adult magazine.
Oh, well, hang on, stop. Stop! Let's get that image first of all. The man is at passport control and he's reading a girly magazine. First of all, why does he think he's allowed to do this and get away with it?
It was 9:30 at night. I suppose he thought he'd had the last passenger through. He...
You obviously wants to believe that everyone's going through and he's...
When did you realise you didn't have your passport?
When I saw the desk, because I put my hand in my pocket and I realised I'd left it in my wife's car when she dropped me off at the airport.
And how far would you say approximately the crawl was?
Shall I show you?
Please do, yes.
Okay.
That would be even better.
Right, OK. Now, and also I get to look at all the... OK. So he couldn't see me from behind.
Right.
OK?
That was the title of the magazine, was it?
I see he's looking at the magazine. I see he's not looking at me.
OK, so then you...
So I got up and about here, I got down on my knees and I crawled along here in front of him, a seat with the desk was much higher, OK? Much higher. It was about like that. I think, actually, Rob, in your case, you better stand on the chair. And...
I would not put up with that. I would not put up with that.
I don't mind it from him, but from an educated man like you.
And so here...
Don't stand on the desk, you
No, the desk is made out of papier-mâché.
It's quite heroic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Magnificent. OK. OK, the desk is up to there, and I came along like this, only on my hands and knees.
Yeah, go on. Keep
and
going.
then I carried on a bit, and then I ran like the clappers.
Just stay on, stay there a minute. Just in case I ever forget my passport.
Yeah.
Going down, Rob, or you're
all right.
You're all right. Okay.
So, what are you thinking?
It's pretty ridiculous, isn't it?
Actually, I think it's true. I'm going to go
really?
with true. Yeah.
So Warwick says it's a lie. Hugh says it's true. I will say it's true.
OK, John. Truth or lie?
Well, it's in fact completely true.
Until my mid-30s, I had no idea that lambs were in fact baby sheep.
David's team.
Until your mid-30s. How old are you now?
I'm in my late 30s.
When you're on television, you refer to it as the mid to high 30s. Why don't you do that with your age?
How did you learn?
I was in Cumbria, and we were filming for a weather show, and I had to do a piece about clouds, about red sky at night, shepherd's delight.
I've never understood the phrase. Why is it so specific to shepherds? Nobody. Everyone likes the song, no one likes the rain.
Because the shepherds in particular, though, they spare a thought for the shepherds watching now. They're out in all weathers.
What about the hang gliders? Red sky at night, hang gliders delight. Red sky in the morning, hang gliders warning.
Hello, can you help me? Excuse me.
Big nasty.
I'm black. I don't understand none of that stuff what you're talking about.
You've never heard red sky at night, shepherd's delight?
No.
Red sky in morning, shepherd's warning.
This is what's called middle-class rapping.
So you're in Cumbria. What are you doing there?
So we've been filming the whole day, and I've been walking amongst these animals. I mean, they were...
Hey, they're called northerners.
Because I was so focused on my lines, I wasn't really paying that much attention to what... I just saw there were lots of fluffy animals everywhere.
Yeah. And you thought, the clouds have fallen!
So we're sitting there, and the farmer and his wife are saying that they do a programme called Lambing Live. I said, why is it that it's called lambing? And there's this sort of silence there for a bit. And said, the camera crew were looking at me thinking, what are you talking about? I said, well, because why is it not sheeping? So sheep, sheep, and lamb, lamb. A sheep gives birth to a baby sheep, and a lamb gives birth to a...
So you thought a lamb was one woolly thing, and a sheep was another woolly thing?
So, as it were, like an orange and a satsuma.
For a hot sec, I was on the same kind of ideology as you know.
Did you express this confusion?
I did, and I wish I hadn't, actually, because of the looks I got.
Did you then say, what's that big yellow bright thing in the sky?
What is... because you're a scientist, aren't you? That's... meteorologist is a type of scientist.
Yeah.
What did you... What A-levels did you do?
That's David's very polite way of saying you are thick.
The thing is that when you see a little lamb there and another sheep, the thing looks so different.
You think they look nothing like each other? You wait till I explain the life cycle of the frog. It will blow your mind. Have you ever seen an adult caterpillar?
Oh, yeah, I know that one. I forgot.
You all right? What are you thinking, Prue?
Well, I think it's got to be a lie because I can't believe that a weatherman who is conscious of the seasons and knows what happens in the spring, I think you're making it up.
Do you think it's true?
Yeah, well, it seems like I'm an idiot.
What's that supposed to mean?
What? We're going down together, Knuckle, man. At least flip it up.
So, what's it going to be, David?
Well, I think he's a scientist. I think he'd know. I'm going to go with Prue. We're going to say it's a lie.
Thomas, truth or lie?
It is, in fact, true.
While on a camping holiday in France, I invented a game my family and I couldn't stop playing. We call this game Milky Cow.
David's team.
Well, to explain the rules of Milky Cow.
I feel I should probably start with the origin of Milky Cow. Would you?
No need, just get straight to the detailed rundown of the rules, and then we can do the background later.
Milky Cow is essentially...
Don't look at me.
It's a test of the strength of your lungs, really, because a player in Milky Cow would breathe in as deeply as they can and then breathe out whilst constantly saying the phrase Milky Cow. If you stop, then you're out. This is working, right?
Yes, yes.
So it's the person who continually says Milky Cow for the longest is the winner.
Right.
So if let's say, imagine we're your family camping.
We weren't camping. We were in a hotel, Claudia, but carry on.
If you want to revert back to your car.
Hey, hang on. Yes, refer back to your card for a moment.
Oh, we were camping.
You might want to keep that face up. First rule of what I like to, always keep the card face up.
I would say that Milky Cow was played for many summers. And it was played in hotels and camping. It was the origins, actually. We were in a sort of chalet in a mobile home.
Can we play Milky Cow?
Absolutely,
let's play it. So go on.
I'm going to... You're not going to ask me, so I'm going to tell you the origins because it's relevant. My sister saw a lady on the same chalet area in the south of France.
Yeah.
And she was a perfectly normal-looking girl, but my sister said, look at that Milky Cow. And when we all looked at her, she had quite bovine features. Every day we saw her, and Milky Cow became exaggerated every time we saw her. So the first time we saw her, my sister went, look at that Milky Cow. We all went, oh. And maybe on the third or fourth day...
Yeah. Yeah.
My sister just naturally went, Milky Cow. And then we all started driving past her and going, Milky Cow. And as the days went on, it became Milky Cow. Eventually... Oh, I've been on this show for 5 minutes, I already feel insane. Eventually, it became a test of who could say the longest.
Right.
So, do you want to...
Of course.
Play?
Well, you say that it's addictive, so I imagine if I start now, I'm off.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe we'll stop playing Would I Lie to You? It'll be like a footnote in the history of the incredibly successful television programme Milky Cow. For the first 11 or 12 series, it was another game called Would I Lie to You? What's the point in all those lies and truths? Let's just all go Milky Cow for hours and hours
hours and hours because it turns out to be the most entertaining and addictive thing you can imagine, and heroin sales will go through the floor.
Greg, over to you.
I feel a little on the ropes after that. Ready?
OK.
3, 2, 1, breathe in.
Quite good fun.
Milky Cow, I win.
We're agreed then that Milky Cow is a brilliant game.
Awesome.
The question is, was it invented several years ago in the south of France, or was it invented a few minutes ago here? You think it might be true?
Well,
I mean, it's false. Most deaf. You're chatting, bro, but I think you developed an amazing game on the spot. So, I mean, if there's half a point for that, I don't know how it worked, but yeah.
There are no bonuses for product development. I think it's unlikely to be true.
Yes, agreed.
Are you saying lie?
You happy to go lie?
Yeah, of course, You're chatting, yeah.
OK, you're saying lie. Right, Greg.
Lie.
Milky
Lie.
Cow,
Yes.
the south of France, a mobile chalet. Truth or lie?
Well, I am delighted to introduce Milky Cow to the national stage, because it's true.
Yes. Rejoice, it is true. Greg did invent a family game called Milky Cow.
Dear me.